Hi, I'm back for Israel, the cornerstone nation of all nation. I just retracked from the last series. We went to, in the last one, Jacob married Rachel Leah and Rachel Leah's maidservant. And then from there, God um, visited Jacob and gave him a dream about the goats and the sheep to get the pick out the spotted and the speckled goats and sheep. And in this process, he was saying to Laban that to pay him with wages, and the wages would be that. And so Laban agreed to that, so that God was preparing him to go back to the land that he spoke to him through Abraham, Isaac, and him with Jacob. So after that, he was preparing that. So the next chapter we're going to is from Genesis 31 verse 13, and it says, I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now stand up and leave this land and return to the land of your birth. And so from there I'm going to go to Genesis 32 verse 9, and it says, and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said unto me, return unto thy country, unto thy kingdom, and I deal well with thee. Okay, so from there, I'm going to continue from still Genesis 32, but I'm going to go from 22 to 30, and this is how we got the name Israel. Because at the time, going over to his land, he has to meet up with his brother Esau. And remember, in the last few series, that Jacob had to leave his mum and his father, because his mum heard her son Esau saying that as soon as Isaac, his father's died, he's going to kill Jacob. So Jacob had to leave. So now he's coming back and he has to meet with Esau. So we go from Genesis 32 verse 22 to 30, and it says, but he got up that same night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and waded over the ford of Jacob. Then he took them and sent them across the brook, and he also sent across whatever he had. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw he had not prevailed against Jacob, he touched his hip joint, and Jacob's hip was dislocated as he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for day is breaking. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you declare a blessing on me. So he asked him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. Did Jacob ask him, please tell me your name? But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And he declared a blessing on Jacob there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, the face of God, saying, for I have seen God face to face, yet my life has not been snatched away. So that's where we got the word Israel. So from there, we're going to go to Genesis 35, verse 1. So in this case, this is when then God said to Jacob, get up to Bethel and live there, and make an altar there to God who appeared to you when you fled from Esau your brother. So the reason why God has spoken to Jacob to go to Bethel was because during that time, after he's met with Esau and it's fine, whatever, him and his family went to live near Shechem, and they had Jacob had a daughter called Dinah, and the men of Shechem, the king's son, raped Dinah. So God was saying to them, and also before that, because they raped Dinah, the brothers Simon and Levi, and I think it was Reuben, became really angry. So they got back to get back at the people of Shechem. They kind of made a deal so that if they, because they were saying, like, because they wanted to, the king's son wanted to marry Dinah even though he defied her. So the sons Levi and Simon made a deal so that, okay, if you want to be our friends, you want to marry with our people, then you have to circumcise. You have to be circumcised. All the men have to be circumcised. So during that time, they all got circumcised, and then Simon and Levi, they came and they killed all the men basically. So now God said to Jacob, you have to leave and go back to Bethel. Okay, so now we're going to go to still Genesis 35, but from 9 to 15. And so then God appeared to Jacob again when he came out of Paddan Aram, and declared a blessing on him. And again God said to him, your name is Jacob. You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So he was called Israel, and God said to him, I'm God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you, and kings shall be born of you. The land I gave Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you and to your descendants. After you, I will give you the land. Then God ascended from Jacob in the place where he had spoken with him. Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had talked with God, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, which is wine. He also poured oil on it to declare a case for God's purpose. So Jacob named the place where God had spoken with him Bethel, the house of God. So from there, we go the next verse, which is 16 to 20, and it says, then that's Genesis 35 verse 16. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and where there was still some distance to go to Bethlehem, Rachel began to give birth and had difficulties and suffered severely. And then from there we're going to go from Genesis 35 again, from 22 to 29. So sorry, let me go back again. So verse 17 of 35 is, when she was in hard labour, the midwife said to her, do not be afraid now you have another son. And as her soul was departing, she named him Benjamin, son of my sorrow. But his father called him Benjamin, son of the right hand. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Bethlehem. So then that is now your 12 tribe of Israel. So we're going to go to Genesis 35 again, from verse 22 to 29. So when Israel was living in that land, Reuben, his eldest son, lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. So now Jacob had 12 sons. The son of Leah was Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, then Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. And the son of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. And the son of Bilhah, Rachel's maid, Dan and Naphtali. And the son of Zilpah, Leah's maid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, born to him in Paddan Aram. So that's how, according to what God spoke to Abraham, to Isaac, that his descendants would be numerous as stars of the sky. And this is how the 12 tribe started through Jacob. So next time we're going to go further. God bless you. Bye.